Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.
Welcome to this Talk Business Arkansas update. We're joined by Scott Harrell. He is the publisher of Talk Business Arkansas's magazine, as well as our sister publication and content partner, AY Magazine. Scott, thank you for being here.
Thanks for the invitation.
Let's first of all, for some of our viewers who haven't had a chance to meet you yet, give me a little background, give them a little background on your credentials, your previous experience, what qualifies you to even be here as a publisher.
Oh, that's a good question. I've spent the better part of about 22 years in the print publishing industry, mostly newspapers, some magazine work early on, actually with AY Magazine when it was active years, many years ago, and then spent some time in Northwest Arkansas and North Carolina, Little Rock, and back in Little Rock as the publisher now of AY and Talk Business Arkansas.
Tell me what you're seeing in terms of consumer spending. Obviously, advertising, key economic indicator of what's happening in terms of what consumers are sensing, what they're seeing. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing without revealing too much trade secrets there.
We think the economy has stabilized, and to some degree as far as the print dollars go. Early this year it was still very shaky, and we were still feeling a lot of the impacts of what had transpired over the last 2008, 2009, things kind of settled down, up and down. We're really seeing a little more stability in the market from our perspective, which is good. So we're excited that that's hopefully going to continue.
We want more of that. So now I invited you here to talk about the industry and what the print and publication industry is really going through in terms of kind of a transformation. We just saw in the last week, 2 weeks, Washington Post sold for $250 million. Boston Globe, $70 million. Is the print publishing industry, is it going through a total state of disruption, or is this just something that's almost moving at the glacier age in terms of slow and steady change?
No, I think it's total disruption. I think print publishing for the better part of the last 10 years has been in a state of disruption. I think what you're seeing now is you're seeing the impact of the businesses starting to try to rise out of that economy, the problems that we had with the economy back in 2008, 2009. A lot of those newspapers like Washington Post, Boston Globe, that had such high values were really hit hard by the decline in the print dollars. You're seeing them swept up by some entrepreneurs who don't have the infrastructure problems that a lot of the newspaper companies have had. New York Times, obviously their stock price struggled for many years, and we saw them let go of a number of their properties. Their regional publishing group they let go of a couple of years ago, and now Boston Globe. So I think what's happening is you're seeing people who see an opportunity in select places, and they're going in and taking advantage of it.
So a lot of what's changing that part of the industry, though, is the technology and the fact that there are obviously more eyeballs looking at things online on their smartphones and their mobile devices. That's obviously taking away from the print product. Maybe speak to me a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of how disruptive the technology has been and how some of these print publications historically are adapting, including ones that we're affiliated with.
I think it's a huge challenge. I think the electronic media and the move to online and the idea that everything online should be free, that's a very troubling outlook for businesses that gain so much of their revenue from selling their content. So newspapers, I think, are going to struggle more than some of the other media. They haven't figured out exactly how to take advantage of making that content available online but still monetizing it. I think businesses like ours, where a lot of our content is very specific, more niche oriented, we own some of that market. It's more difficult to go out and find the same content in different places, so we have an opportunity to really monetize those viewers online, maybe more so than a commodity like newspapers have become in many cases.
It lends itself to experimentation, though. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I feel like I have tried over the years, things that we have tried in partnership together, is really just kind of not limited it to, well, it's got to be this way, or look at this model, they have the perfect model. I'm quite frankly hard-pressed to find someone who has the perfect business model in this current age of media? I mean, do you know of anyone that's doing it right? I mean, or what you would think is right?
I wish we could find them. I wish you'd have them on the show so we could figure out how to do it. No, I think it is. I think the experimentation is coming because the consumers are demanding things so quickly. I think we live in an era now where instead of you and I getting to tell people when they should get their news, how they should get their news, how they should get their content, they're telling us we want it now, we want it in this format, we want it in that format. We want to be able to interact with you. Mm-hmm. So as opposed to just getting a letter or a phone call, now consumers post on Facebook, they post on Twitter, they share our content in many different ways. And so trying to figure out what's the best way to provide that content to the most viewers and get the most conversation started. That's really what it's all about. We provide the information, they provide the conversation, and then as content providers, how do we take that and really turn it into a business model? Let's
take a quick commercial break. I'm going to come back and talk more about consumers and what we're dealing with here. I'm talking with Scott Harrell. He's the publisher of Talk Business Arkansas magazine as well as AY magazine. You're watching Talk Business Arkansas's webcast. I'm Roby Brock. We'll be right back after this break.
Farm Bureau helps protect its members in more ways than you might think. They've always been the voice of agriculture in Arkansas, working on behalf of folks like me when nobody else would. And Farm Bureau stands for the values that Arkansas families care about. They've protected my right to farm and make a living, which helps everybody who likes food on the table. You know what they say, Arkansas counts on agriculture, and agriculture counts on Farm Bureau.
The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
I was looking for a bank that could best protect my finances.
That shared my passion for my business's potential.
A bank that offered investment expertise,
lending support, insurance guidance.
A bank that delivered full financial support.
That's how I found True Balance.
True Balance.
From my bank.
From my bank.
Delta Trust and Bank, the expertise to meet all your financial needs.
One of the real advantages of electric cooperatives membership is having a voice in our state's energy future.
Not a week goes by without important energy issues making headlines. These are issues that need to be discussed. And you should know that as policies are being developed, the cooperatives are looking out for our members, advocating what's best for you.
We are your friends and neighbors.
We are your local electric company.
The electric cooperatives.
We are Arkansas.
East Harding Construction. East Harding has provided client-focused construction services for commercial construction projects in Arkansas since 1974. Want your next project delivered safely, on budget, and on schedule by an Arkansas-based company you can trust? Visit www.eastharding.com or call Van Tilbury, President and CEO, at 501-661-1646. East Harding, client-focused construction.
And we're back. I'm with Scott Harrell. He's the publisher of Talk Business Arkansas magazine as well as AY magazine. We're talking before the break a little bit about just how the consumer is really driving a lot of the changes as well as the technology, but it has empowered them a lot more. I had a friend kind of describe the business model this way. We're not in an information society anymore. We're in an attention economy, basically, and that you've got to find a way to break through that information. Is that the challenge that you see?
Definitely. There are a lot of people, a lot of companies that are trying to get that attention of each individual consumer. You or I could be individual bloggers and challenging the corporate structure of media in general for that attention, and that's happening. Mm-hmm. Individuals are finding a niche and finding a way to present information. So our challenge is to be able to provide enough in a format that viewers want it so that they keep coming back. And that is a challenge. The reality is that mobile, probably more than anything else, is going to continue to impact how we do what we do. In many ways, we've just kind of caught up with the electronic online revolution, and now all of that is being changed again with mobile. And the reality that mobile is going to be the dominating way that people access media in the years to come.
So how do you plan for that? You're a guy that you see what's going on, you know what you have historically that works, you've got to incorporate kind of new products and delivery. How do you kind of anticipate what comes next?
A lot of it is really analyzing the way consumers are using the information we're providing now. So looking at what drives them to our website, what drives them to our Facebook page, what makes them respond to an email newsletter, what makes them click on a link in Twitter, and then what do they do once they get to that website. So trying to figure out the way people navigate the content that we're providing gives us an idea of what we should do next. But also looking at other successful entities. What are the things that people are looking for? Video is a huge part. Showing people how to do things, introducing them to people that are interesting in our community. So trying to find a way to go beyond what we used to do, which is just kind of tell a story on a page and take that really to the next level.
An analogy that I use a lot in speaking to audiences about this some too is that I kind of use a banking analogy. You know, you used to go to the bank and walk in and give them your deposit ticket and you walk out and leave. Now you go through a drive-through, you could go to an ATM, you can online bank. How do you want to do your banking? It's almost how do you want to receive the content that we're providing to you now? Social media, a big component of that delivery now too. How do you incorporate social media and how do you gauge what might be coming next? Because it seems like there's something new coming on the scene almost every single day.
Right. Well, I think what you've done, I think, has been a great example of social media. You post so many things on Twitter and so many links back through Facebook, and I think that's the key, is putting enough out there where we can gauge what people are really interacting with. We try to focus on Pinterest, we try to focus on Facebook, we try to focus on Twitter. People who come to us through Pinterest are looking at a totally different inventory of content than somebody who's coming to us through an email newsletter.
And Pinterest more oriented to the AY audience, which might skew a little bit more female, right. Obviously more consumer oriented versus more male oriented that we have in Talk Business.
Right.
So you got to figure out which of those kind of media platforms works for the audience that you're after.
Right. I think your banking example is a great example because really there are some people who still like the old way of doing business. They like to walk in and hand the teller their deposit slip and have a conversation. And we still have that. We still have people who interact with the print product the way that print has for so many years. People still like that hands-on. I want to read it in the magazine. I don't necessarily want to see it on a screen. I don't think that's going away. I think that's always going to have, at least in the foreseeable future, that's always going to be a part of what we do. But I think what's happening is we're trying to figure out how do we keep growing the model, and we can't grow it in the way that we used to grow it, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And so you see print maybe having a floor. It doesn't go any further below that. Does it have a ceiling? Does it have the potential to grow even stronger in terms of subscribers and readers?
I think depending on the content. I think there are some print products that still have a ways to go before they hit the floor. I think some of the niche media, I think those things will continue to have a growing opportunity if they provide the content that the readers and viewers are looking for. So for AY, for Talk Business, magazines like what we do, I think there's still an opportunity to continue to grow those because that audience is not going away completely. What we have to look at is how are our kids learning these days. And I know from having an 11-year-old that she's learning on an iPad and she's learning on a laptop. And so when she gets to the point where she wants to interact with content, it's going to be electronic. And so trying to figure out how to provide that content to one group that continues to control a lot of the dollars as far as spending goes, as well as prepare for that group that's coming up. That's really what the challenge is.
All righty, Scott Harrell, he's the publisher of Talk Business Arkansas Magazine and AY Magazine. Thanks for the insight, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. You're watching Talk Business's Daily Update. I'm Roby Brock. Join us again next time, and you can keep up with the latest in business and politics at our website, talkbusinessarkansas.com. Thanks for watching.
Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.